Welcome to another religious education 5-minute recap video. We are on the exam board Eduqas on the paper Applied Catholic Theology, and we are exploring the unit of life and death. Today we're going to find out about the Magisterium, and hopefully you're going to be able to explain what the Magisterium is and its impact. We've got a lot to get through, so let's get going. Firstly, the word magisterium comes from the Latin word magister, which means teacher. This is a good way to think about the magisterium, because the magisterium is the Pope and the bishops interpreting the Bible and the tradition and then teaching that or passing it on to Catholics today. Now, two common ways for this to come about. Firstly, there is the ordinary magisterium. Secondly, there is the extraordinary magisterium. Now, the ordinary magisterium, this is the everyday teachings of the Catholic Church when they provide a teaching to Catholics. It's often done in the form of letters, or posh word encyclicals, and it will update and respond to modern issues. Things such as abortion, euthanasia, nuclear warfare, and global warming. Now, a couple of popes here have written some of these encyclicals, and the first one is St. John Paul II. And he taught in Evangelium Vitae that euthanasia is unacceptable. Secondly, Pope Francis taught in Laudato Si that the earth is our common home and must be cared for. So there's two good sources of evidence you can use there to support these teachings in the ordinary magisterium. Now, secondly, there's the extraordinary magisterium. Now, this can be split into two sections, the first being the pontifical magisterium. Now, the word pontifical we can link to the word pontiff, which means pope. Now, in this pontifical magisterium, it's when the pope speaks infallibly. And what I mean by that is, without error. So he speaks on a matter of faith and provides guidance and clarity on a key idea. This does not happen often. It's only happened a couple of times. And one of the ones that stands out is when Mary was told to be the Immaculate Conception. That means that she was born without sin, so she was worthy to be the Mother of God. And a Pope took that and said, you know what, I'm speaking on a matter of faith infallibly here, and I'm telling you that Mary, she is the Immaculate Conception. So when we look at the other part is, we've got a Conciliar magisterium. Now, the word conciliar comes from the word council, which is a large meeting or a group meeting. And these conciliar magisteriums, this is when church leaders from all over the world gather together to discuss changes to the church. And one of the most famous examples is Vatican II, called Vatican II because it takes place in the Vatican in Rome, and it was the second one. Now, we're going to have to do a little bit of work on Vatican II because it is a massive meeting, and there were some key documents that come out of it that you need to be aware of for your examination. On the board you can kind of see I've got these 4 documents, and they are called De Verbum, which means the Word of God, Sacrosanctum Concilium, which is the Sacred Council, Gaudium et Spes, which is the Joys and Hopes, and Lumen Gentium, which is the Light of the People. Now, Pope John the 23rd opened up Vatican II with this quote. He said, "Throw open the windows of the church and let the fresh air of the Spirit blow through." And this is feeding into this idea that this conciliar magisterium is about updating and bringing the church forward into the modern era. Vatican II was in the 1960s when there was a lot of changes, and a lot of people were challenging kind of authority, and they were questioning their place in the world, and the church wanted to engage with people. So Vatican II was the opportunity to update the church and bring it into the modern era. Now, let's look at some of these documents in a bit of detail. Firstly, De Verbum means the Word of God, and it places emphasis upon the Bible. You need to make sure that you're reading it at home as part of prayer to develop an understanding in your relationship with God. It also led to a growth in Bible study groups. Secondly, Sacrosanctum Concilium, or the Sacred Council. Well, the language of Mass changed from Latin to your local language. The altar moved so the priest faced the congregation, and this was all to help people understand and feel more connected to each other as well as God. Gaudium et Spes was about the joys and hopes to find in the world, and it was the church's response to the issues of poverty and injustice. Now, there was a huge growth in groups such as Pax Christi, as well as CAFOD being established in 1960, which obviously works to alleviate poverty. And finally, we've got Lumen Gentium, which means the light of the people, and it was about getting everybody involved in church. It's not just the job of the clergy to evangelise, but it's everybody's to take the word and to reach other people. So the key thing coming from Lumen Gentium is everybody needs to be involved with the church. Now, have a little look down this list, look at the aim and try and link each of these key words to the Magisterium and its impact. If you can do that, then you've been successful. If you're finding it tough, pause the video, go back, flick through it. I appreciate there was a lot of information, we've covered a lot of ideas in this, so maybe watch the video a couple of times. If you are confident though, push yourself, look at these example questions and give them a go. Thanks so much for your time, good luck.